Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to the Jerick Show, your one-stop shop for all things cybersecurity. Timely topics poorly presented.
Welcome to The Jerick Show, featuring your hosts, Javvad and Erich and Erich Crone. Timely topics, poorly presented.
And as always, I am joined by my colleague and sometimes frenemy, Mr. Erich Crone. How you doing, Eric?
Doing pretty good. I got to tell you, I still love that opening photo there with you on the couch and all that. Every time I see that, it makes me kind of laugh. I still think I pulled it off better.
Those were happier days. That was just before I joined you and realized what an ass you actually are in real life.
Yeah, although I will say on the newly formed JerickShow.com website, I believe you're actually the horse's ass on that page. Am I
Really?
wrong in that? Yeah,
Ah,
yeah,
let's take a quick look.
yeah. Let's.
The Jerick Show, timely topic. Wow, you are not lying. You are not lying. Okay,
Yeah.
you will be hearing from my lawyers soon enough. I will not take this lying down. This is
No, horses sleep
terrible.
standing up.
Okay, let's go on to the first story of the day. CISA. Log4 show exploits still being used to hack VMware servers. There's a lot to unpack there. What's going on, Eric?
Yeah, I'm going to do a little monologue on this if you don't mind. So let's talk about this, right? The whole CISA thing. What this is about is about a vulnerability that came out back in 2021. I believe it was December, and it impacts the VMware Horizon and the Unified Access Gateway, the UAG stuff from VMware. And the patch was put out there. It was CVE 2021 44228 for Log4 Shell. Unfortunately, what we're finding is a lot of people have not patched these machines, which is very unfortunate because they're being exploited in a very serious way by a lot of the APTs out there. And it's reached the point now that it's so bad that CISA and it's this Coast Guard Cyber Command actually issued a statement, and they said if you haven't been fully patched on this thing by now, you just need to figure out, and you need to call this compromised. Like, you need to treat it as if it's been pwned. It's that bad and it's that significant. They've been hunting it for 6 or 7 months now, and so their guidance out there is implement your incident response plan if you haven't patched by now. And for me, this really brings up a pretty significant issue, and that is patching and knowing what assets are on your network. Unfortunately, a lot of places these days, they don't even know what all is on their network. So stuff like this gets lost. But frankly, anything that's internet connected, directly connected to the internet, you better know what you have out there, and you better know how to patch it. It better be in your vulnerability and patching cycle. Please, it's 2022 and we're still dealing with stuff like this. It's a little crazy. What do you think, Javad?
Yeah, thank you. No, it is quite a lot crazy. I think you're right. Well, you say it's crazy, and I think one of the problems is that patching is such generic advice. You can say patch, but what we aren't very good at as an industry historically is actually providing some of the context into what actually makes something urgent or more critical to patch than others. You have CVSS, but again, that doesn't really make much sense to the majority of organizations. So, but I think if the Coast Guard is telling you to patch, then it's
Yeah.
something that's quite essential.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I've seen, and keep in mind, I don't dig into the CISA stuff super deep all the time, but I don't know that I've seen ones before that said, if you haven't patched, consider it pwned. It's time to move on. It's that, like, seriously being done, and that's what really caught my eye on this one. It's this argument we've been talking about for years, and you're right. Patching isn't easy either. There's a real possibility of downtime when you patch. We all know this, right? And that's been the excuse for for decades now is, oh, well, if I patch it, it could go down. But for God's sakes, it's 2022. We're halfway through 2022. If you don't have a plan in place on how to test and then roll out patches to a production environment, honestly, you have no business having a production environment.
Yep. Well, strong words by the always opinionated Mr. Crone. Leave your thoughts in the comments. We'll like to hear what you think about it. Anyway, on to something a bit more light-hearted. The Conti ransomware hacking spree breaches over 40 organizations in a month. Do you think they have like a sales dashboard or a target dashboard there? Like they started off with like, let's try and do one a day. Like every working day, we're going to hit one. And then if you hit 2 a day, you get double bonus. So yeah, that's probably where they're at.
Well, while you laugh about this, that's not how we discovered that they hit 40 in a month. But what we do know is that a lot of times in this is a ransomware as a service deal, right? So they have affiliates that go out and for profit sharing, they end up infecting networks and stuff. But in this case, what we actually have going on here is the software like this actually does have those dashboards, Javad. It actually does say, okay, we have network here. We own this network here. What do you want to do? When the C2 responds, it actually goes to affiliate dashboards, just like the stuff we use in the real world. And it is kind of mind-blowing that happens. But what happened here is they just, they're keeping an eye on things. When groups like Conti, when they come up and they're like, hey, you know what? We've infected you. They generally show a proof of infection. In other words, screenshots of like file structures or some files there. I've seen them like dump passport images from their employees and stuff in these sites. So they're looking at how many times that's happened. And I want to say it happened like 43 or more times just in that one span. It's crazy how well this ransomware as a service product and way of doing business is working for them.
Yeah. I think it's there. There's also something in here about how the researchers have found that Conti members are active about 14 hours every day. That's about as much as more than what people work in proper jobs anyway.
But they do say they're running shifts.
They are, but it's still quite efficient. Like, I mean, you work 2 hours a day, if that. It's like the office space sketch. We'll turn up late.
You think what you're going to think, pal.
But no, I think it's essential to well, a lot of it, like you said, they use the same techniques as legitimate businesses do.
Yeah.
And the thing I really like about or impressed, I don't know what the right word is, but it's with these criminal gangs, they set up these affiliate schemes and they get lots of people to join it. And I think because they end up making money, the affiliates stay with them, or the structure is very honest. I mean, how many things have you found, like, when you see affiliate schemes in legitimate organizations, or they turn into like network marketing or those pyramid scams and everyone loses money or they don't make as much money? Like, it's one of those things. I think it's put aside the fact that these are criminal enterprises, they run it really, really well. Yeah. And they can, they do a good job in that.
Well, and some of these groups are much more focused on who they have as affiliates. They don't just let anyone sign up. They actually have recruiters that go out and say, okay, how you doing? We see that you're doing well over here. How would you like to join our team? I mean, that's actually like an HR role within this kind of stuff. It's pretty eye-opening how well it's done. And what are we looking at here?
Yeah. Oops. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was at work in the kitchen. Well, okay.
No.
Hey, while we're throwing up weird stuff on the screen, I'd like to shout out this little comment that came in. Javad, do you want to become famous? We can buy you followers, primes, and viewers. Just want to throw that out there.
Fantastic. Lost _ please send us your rate card, and we will throw it into the bin. But but thank you for that. Okay.
I love doing this live.
I really like this story. You threw this into the notes, and I really like it. A Google engineer put on leave after saying AI chatbot has become sentient. Um, so
I spent so much time looking at that picture, Javad, trying to figure out what the hell they're trying to construe. I got no idea. What would I? Yeah.
yeah. Um, hmm. Okay, so like a lot of organizations, Google has AI, and one of the developers, Lemoyne, said that it's sentient, it's alive. I think basically said, "Are you sentient?" He goes, "Yes, I feel," and he goes, "Oh my God, it's alive!" And then published some of the transcripts online,
Yeah.
and then they got fired. So, depending on which side of the conspiracy theory spectrum you sit at, it could be that OMG, Google is trying to bury this news because they've got Skynet, and so they fired the person. If that was true, I think they'd do a lot more than just fire someone, because this is potentially bad.
Well,
On the
technically, I
other
think he
end,
was suspended, maybe
okay,
without pay.
suspended, yes. On the other end, it's well, that's proprietary information, confidential. You can't just leak it to the public. But what I did also see is that he works for a division, or worked for a division. Oh, what's it called? I saw it here a while ago. You talk while I
I
find
think
it.
it was down a little bit. What is it, Lambda or something like that?
Yes,
The division he was in. Yeah, that was
worked
down a little
for
bit.
the Responsible
Responsible.
AI Organization. And
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was like, oh, why do you need to put responsible into the word? Do they mean they have an irresponsible AI organization as well within Google? That's the real question here.
Yeah. This story is so it's interesting because it makes you think, right? Like I'm like, yeah, this could really happen, I suppose, at some point in time. I think the way that this came out and what was released as conversations and stuff was so much like scripted right out of a sci-fi novel that really I just have a hard time believing this time that it was legit. I don't know. It just seemed a little bit odd.
Bit like you.
Awkward silence.
Awkward. While we're contemplating that silence, do not forget to follow us if you want the podcast, thejerickshow.podbean.com. Follow us on Twitter at The Jerick Show. Follow us individually, J4VV4D. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And of course, the newly minted Jerick Show, thejerickshow.com website, where my lawyers will be sending a takedown notice very shortly.
I'm pretty sure you have admin rights to that. So, I mean, do
It
your
doesn't
worst,
matter.
whatever.
It makes it sound so much better when it's like it was taken down after he said my lawyers will be sending a takedown notice. It sounds so much better than just, oh, I have admin, so I just took it down.
Right. All right. Now, did you have a story, Javad? I think you had a story that you tossed in there as well, right?
I do. Boom. So if you just excuse me. Amazon's Alexa device could soon be speaking in a dead relative's voice. That's right, the speaker that you bring into your house that listens to you at all times, even when allegedly it's not listening, because it still answers saying that I cannot hear you when you say don't listen to me. But that's neither here nor there. It can, because it listens to you all the time, it can build a deep fake audio profile of you. So, for example, once Eric kicks the bucket, we can get Alexa, who has learned Eric's voice, to regurgitate stuff on this show, and we will be like, ah, it's as if Eric has never left us. So they had they, as in Amazon, had their conference a few days ago in Vegas, and they unveiled this feature. And in a demo, they said a kid was like, "Alexa, can Grandma finish reading me The Wizard of Oz?" Alexa responded, "Okay," which is the wrong answer. The answer should be, "Grandma's dead. She cannot read anymore." However, the head of AI says that what was they saying? We are unquestionably living in the golden era of AI, where our dreams and science fiction are becoming a reality. And as this article correctly says, this actually sounds more like an episode of Black Mirror. Now, thing is that this isn't the first time that we've heard about the digital afterlife or people living on through through far more, I suppose, conventional means, as opposed to creating deep fakes of people that have died. Obviously, if there was a deep fake of me that was created after I died, I'd want it just to say, "Why did you kill me?" And that would be great, as in haunting Eric for his time. But there was this story from a few years ago, 2014. A son races deceased father's ghost in Xbox Racer. I don't know if you remember. So if you set the fastest lap time, when you race again, that faster car is the ghost that you chase after. And this boy, after his father died, who he used to play this game with for many years, he picked up the game, and his father's ghost was still there, literally. So he used to race against him, and he had a good time. And then one day he overtook his father, and he was going to beat him, but then he stopped before the finish line just to let the ghost car continue so that he wouldn't overwrite his dad's thing. And I think this is a far more better way of actually remembering people, or through shared experiences, as opposed to creating something completely AI. And what I was looking at before, so one of my relatives, my cousin's son, he done an internship at one of these not this one particularly, but it's like a robotic kitchen. So what you do, these things are created just for mainly for commercial sort of kitchens, but it can also help people in the house eventually and what have you. So you put all of your ingredients in the set places, tell the robot where all the ingredients are, and say, make me ravioli, and it will pull out the right ingredients, and it will make you the portion size you want, and it will make it taste exactly the same every single time. And what they found was that you could actually program it with certain people's recipes. So you can take a famous chef and say, here's how I make my signature dish. Then you could download it into your kitchen, and your kitchen would then create that perfect dish as well. But what the implications for this was that you could actually ask your grandmother, who might live in Italy, to say, can you make your meatballs for me, grandmother? And grandmother would teach you how to make it, and the robot would learn how to make it. And then even if grandma's not living with you, or maybe not living at all, your kitchen could make you food that tastes just like how grandma used to make it. So there are lots of implications for the digital afterlife, some of them better than others. But I do think that we need to be careful, though. I think recreating something that someone's done is one thing, but you've got to be really careful when you delve into the deep fake territory, where you're creating stuff that represents someone but isn't actually them, because you can't capture the soul once it's left the body. What do you think about that, Eric?
No, I'm a little bit concerned that this kind of maybe cheapens some of the real stuff, right? So, I have a laser engraver, and I do some stuff there on the side for people. And one of the things I've done is on some cutting boards, I've actually laser engraved the grandma's recipe for things. Is it handwritten? You scan it, you do all that kind of stuff, and then you laser engrave it, and it means something for somebody because it was actually done in their hand. But if you can just tell Waze, have my grandma drive me to wherever it is I'm going, after a while, that voice is no longer something special. Like when you watch an older movie of that person and you hear them again or see them again. So I almost feel like it would cheapen things by doing that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's lots of things that this is what I mean by the soul of something. Like, you can cheapen things so much. It's just like you being on this podcast significantly cheapens it. So we'll just raise the stock price once again and not cheapen it. So I hope you had a good time listening to us, watching us maybe if you're on the interwebs. And stay tuned. We will come back to you next week. If you have any suggestions for stories or the website and pictures we should use, feel free to drop us a line. We always love hearing from you because we do this all for you. So thank you very much. And until next week, stay secure, my friends.